When I, Emily Carter, moved back to my late grandmother's old farmhouse in Maplewood, I had no idea that a house renovation would completely transform not just my home, but my heart. The wooden floors creaked under every step, the windows rattled with the wind, and yet, the house held decades of laughter, love, and unspoken memories. After years of living in the city, my life had started to feel empty. My long-term relationship had ended quietly, my career in interior design had burned me out, and I longed for something real, something that felt like home again. So, when I inherited Grandma's house, I packed up my life and moved back to the small town where I'd spent my childhood summers. The house was beautiful but broken. The porch sagged, the paint had peeled to a dull gray, and the roof leaked in 3 places. That's when I met Jack Miller, the local builder everyone in town swore by. He was tall, rugged, and had a calm energy that made people feel at ease. His work truck rolled into the driveway one chilly morning, and from that moment, my life began to shift. Jack shook my hand with a confident, warm smile. "You must be Emily. I've heard a lot about this place. Your grandmother was a legend around here." I smiled softly, the memory of Grandma's laughter echoing in my heart. Yeah, she really was. From the very first day, Jack treated the house with the same respect and care as if it were his own. He listened when I talked about my design ideas, modern touches mixed with old charm, and he added thoughtful suggestions. Sometimes we'd argue about paint colors or light fixtures, but even those small disagreements felt strangely grounding. Day by day, the renovation became more than just construction. It became therapy. I watched as Jack rebuilt the porch, one plank at a time, and something about that process mirrored what was happening inside me. I was rebuilding too, piece by piece. We shared coffee breaks on the steps, laughing about old music, movies, and stories from our childhoods. Jack told me he had grown up nearby and had started building houses with his dad as a teenager. He'd always loved bringing old homes back to life. "They just don't make them like this anymore," he said one afternoon, running his hand along the newly sanded banister. The days stretched into weeks, and by spring, the farmhouse had transformed. Fresh white paint, restored shutters, blooming flowers along the walkway, it felt alive again. One evening, after the final coat of paint dried, we stood in the golden light of sunset, looking at the house that had once seemed impossible to save. Jack broke the silence. "You know, I've fixed a lot of homes, but this one feels special." I looked at him, realizing that what he said wasn't just about the house. It was then that I understood something profound. Sometimes, people come into your life not to stay forever, but to help you rebuild what you lost: hope, faith, or love. But with Jack, I wasn't sure if he was just a builder fixing a house or a man quietly rebuilding my heart. The night before he finished the last project, a small wooden swing under the old oak tree, I found myself sitting on the porch, watching the stars. Jack joined me, his hands covered in sawdust, his face glowing in the soft porch light. "You did it," I said, smiling. "You brought her house back to life." He smiled, looking at me with quiet warmth. "No, Emily, you did. I just gave you the tools." That night, I realized the house wasn't the only thing that had changed. I had too. The emptiness that once filled me was gone. In its place was peace, and something that felt a lot like love. Months later, when the first snow blanketed Maplewood, I hosted a small gathering to celebrate the new chapter. The house was full of laughter, light, and warmth. Jack was there too, standing by the fireplace, smiling that same humble smile that had somehow become home to me. As we raised our glasses to the house that started it all, I knew that my grandmother would have been proud, not just of the home we restored, but of the love and life that grew from it. Because sometimes, the greatest rebuilds aren't made of wood and nails, they're made of trust, kindness, and the courage to start again. And that's how a builder changed my life, one nail, one wall, one heartbeat at a time.